Okay, so my background has been in cybersecurity. I've been an ethical hacker for 25 years. I've been also in the realm of cryptography as a researcher, decentralization researcher as well, even a little bit before blockchains. I'm almost 40 years old, so I was involved in things around, for example, e-money and things like that, if you guys remember this. So in the context of my, let's say, daily activities, I was an advisor to a number of nation states from a perspective of cybersecurity and critical environments under NATO and under the European Union on the areas of cyber wars, cyber terrorism, cyber espionage, and also data protection and legislation. So I brought some of my esteemed colleagues into the company, including my mentor and friend, the former Chief of Intelligence of NATO, Mr. Kjell Hagen, the former White House Chief of Staff, Mr. Mick Mulvaney, the former President of Microsoft Southeast Asia and Africa, Mr. Ahmed Chami, and also David Holtzman, which is our Chief of Strategy in the company. That's one of the grandfathers of the Internet. So he invented this little thing called the DNS protocol. And he was also running the whole Internet until the year 2000, which is a cool story. All right. So these are some of the investors that we have right now. You probably recognize these guys. You can go to the next slide, please. Elena, you can go to the next slide. Thank you. So right now, the problem that we're fixing is both in Web 2 and Web 3. So every device in the world is a point of failure to every device that is connected to it from a cybersecurity perspective, into every network that it connects to. But not just devices, applications, services, and other things. So our objective is to put a node in every device that connects directly to our consensus mechanism, distributed proof of security, that makes the devices operate as a DePIN network from a perspective of cybersecurity and trust at the most base level. So we call ourselves a sub-zero layer. So we operate at the hardware level, firmware level, software level, OS level, application level, and we ensure that everything that serves some service is actually in a trusted state. And if it is in a trusted state, as per the consensus, then it can operate. So another part of the project is actually related to quantum, or actually on the cryptographic side, on the post-quantum sphere. We have done quite a bit of research with university partners, in both sides of the Atlantic, and we have published a number of papers around this area. So our chain is currently operating at post-quantum level, aligned with the top NIST standards. Ironically, the algorithm that won the NIST competition for post-quantum is the one that we have been using for about 3 years. So we can do many things for chains. We can do, for example, post-quantum rollups, post-quantum backups, execution of code on post-quantum level, and many other interesting things. And for the Web 2 world, we use these technologies to secure data transactions, validation of integrity of systems, even in remote networks that might not belong to the user, API accesses, infrastructure assurance, malware detection, so on and so forth. So for us, these problems have an obvious solution, is to create a universal trust layer, which is what we are. We make every device that participates a node in a DePIN network that allows for, say, for example, on the blockchain space, say DEXs, L1s, L2s, for every validator, every miner, every participant to know and prove that every other participant is in a trusted state. Currently in blockchains, that's not really possible, which leads to a number of risks, like 51% attacks and other problems. But obviously in the whole world, so that means like everything that's Web 2, which is 99.9% of the world's economy, it allows us to participate there, decentralizing current infrastructures almost without them noticing, by allowing their resilience to grow exponentially by the number of devices that they have. So we operate at, as I mentioned, kind of like a sub-zero layer, as we call it. It's a fundamental layer that enhances security and trust of the entire blockchain stack, using, in our case, post-quantum cryptography and Swarm AI. Swarm AI is a decentralized AI ecosystem that we developed with a couple of universities, also in both sides of the Atlantic, that basically operates under consensus. It can be applied to many things. In this case, we apply it to cybersecurity and trust in networks. So this is kind of like a small overview of the architecture. So we have the daemon, or the agent, that basically it's a DApp that connects directly to our consensus mechanism. It allows for every validator to participate in the validation of, for example, data, applications, services, processes that are supporting, for example, Web 2 or Web 3 critical environments. And then it allows for reporting in a transparent way if that's necessary, internally or externally. So right now, this is in use by a number of entities that are our partners, both at nation-state level, critical infrastructure, and also in highly regulated spaces like, for example, banking and other fintech spaces. We call it the decentralized trust mesh. So it's an incentivized infrastructure. We're actually going to be doing a very large node sale, about 34,000 nodes, that are going to be basically the brain of Naoris protocol in the next months. And we have produced a number of papers that have been published and quite well reviewed in peer-reviewed magazines around the world. For example, with the IEEE Foundation, which is the biggest engineering group in the world, and also the Sensors magazine, which is the biggest IoT publishing house in Europe, based in Germany. Very much focused on the post-quantum side as well, and on the DePIN as well. So next slide, please. This is a small comparison between us and potentially other chains. We don't want to compete with them. We are an underlying layer that supports all their operations and ensures that they work and that they are in a safe state at every point in time. So the more validators, the more they grow, so on and so forth, the more resilient they become at the baseline level, so at an infrastructure level, be it virtual or physical. Can go to the next slide. So this is the list of our investors here, probably a lot of known ones. Can go to the next slide. Next slide, please. A list of our partners. We actually won the biggest global telecommunications competition for technology in Bonn, in Germany. So we are working with T-Mobile on this. Some car manufacturers. Dow Cloud is the biggest cloud environment in China. And many, many others. We're also working with defense entities in the context of the European Union, etc. This is a little bit about myself. I've been a chief security of a number of multi-billion-dollar companies in Europe and also in the UK. I've been an ethical hacker, as I mentioned, for about 25 years. And I've been advising a number of nation-states on cyber war, cyber terrorism, cyber espionage, and other areas like that. And I founded Naoris Protocol in 2021. From a company perspective, we were actually a research entity before. This is a little bit of a peek into our team. This gentleman here was one of the creators of the internet as we know it. So we're quite well backed from a perspective of reputation. And we're doing actually our last raise. Can go to the next slide. This is the list of our team and advisors. A lot of generals, former NATO generals, some of the best hackers in the world, a lot of PhD teachers, and we are in contact with them all the time. All right, so to finalize, I would like to make a call out, both to Web 2 and to DePINs. I think the future of the DePIN space is for DePINs to work together. So we are opening our arms to any highly reputable or, let's say, ambitious DePIN infrastructure to work with us and to integrate with us. And we're more than happy to help them in this journey. Thank you very much.